Welcome, welcome. Today, I'm going to share with you a protocol I've been working with. I've got a couple athletes that have presented themselves with some SI joint pain, and we've had some good success with some early rehab protocols. I wanted to share this with you, so if that's you, start loading the position, but do so carefully and progressively, and monitor for signs of increasing pain. Do not work through pain, but we got to start loading that tissue and strengthening and stabilizing that area. And the good news is all we need, I've got a block, I've got a riser to work with. I've also got a med ball and a small bench so that we can work some hamstring bridges, particularly because we want to get these athletes back up and running again. So I want to show you a movement that I really like that not only gets in here, but the glute and the hamstring specific for runners. Let's start with some simple standing hip dips. I want something that I can hang on to for balance. I want to keep my hips stacked on top of this foot. I'm going to pull my toe back, and I'm simply going to try and drop this heel towards the ground without letting this hip kick out that way. And then I want to hike the edge of this hip up without, again, shooting the hip out that way. So I'm essentially just going up and down to whatever my current capacity is this way. Good. We're just going to do 5 nice and slow, controlled reps. Beautiful. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So I'm thinking keeping my left hip stacked over my left foot, and then I'm just going to reach my heel to the ground, and then I'm going to try and get my heel as far away from the ground as possible. We're doing 5 reps per side, nice and slow and controlled. Good. This is 3. 4. Keep both knees completely locked out. 5. Good. Next, we're going to go to the ground. I'll come out in front here. I'm going to place my knee on the block. I'm going to want my hands a little wider than shoulder width apart so that I can create some stability. And now I've got my left knee elevated. I'm simply going to drop my left hip to touch the knee to the ground, and then I'm going to try and hike it up. So the same thing we were doing, now we're just doing it from a quadruped position for 5 reps. You can change the height of the implement if it's too low and you need more of a stretch or more movement. Just be cautious. We're trying to stimulate, not irritate. Beautiful. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Here. Sometimes when we start doing this, we might feel a little something, and what's curious is to see on the second round if we get a little more space, a little more room, or if the pain starts to subside. If you do feel pain or discomfort, obviously we don't want to work through that, but something that you might try in that situation, if that's too much for you, is simply working an isometric hold in this position. So we can do things like drop down and just hold here for 5 to 10 seconds, or hike up, or both for 5 to 10 seconds. But let's continue moving through, assuming that things are starting to open up and feel a little bit better. Good. We'll do 2 rounds here. Good. We'll go to the other side. Heel to the ground, heel away from the ground. Heel to the ground, heel away. Just a nice, slow, controlled tempo. Beautiful. And one more from the quadruped position. Block goes here. Hands a little wider than shoulder width apart, pushing the ground away. Reach and fight for height. You may feel things happening in the adductors. Nice little hack for improving hip rotation, by the way. The last couple on this side. Good. One more on the other. Hands wide. Hike the hip up. Reach down. Couple more. Beautiful. Sometimes we'll do that and place a foam roller between the legs to give a little tactile feedback. Now, this is one of my favorite movements, particularly if you're a runner. I think I could present a pretty good case for getting you to add this in to your protocol, or if you've got any hamstring issues going on. Now, I like to use the med ball because I do like a little bit of instability here, but if you are early stages, we might use something a little more stable, so just so that we don't fall or lose our balance and fall over and irritate something, depending on where you're at. But eventually, later stages, we definitely want to start to add some instability into this protocol. Okay, next, I want, roughly a 15, 20 degree angle at the knee. And from here, you can place hands out to either side for balance. We're gonna lower, touch glutes to the ground, and raise up and see if we can go as high as we can in hip extension. Lower, up and squeeze. Up and squeeze. We're not working to a particular tempo right now. We're just experiencing what's happening. 5 reps on side 1, and we can switch to side 2. Control on the way down. Raise up. Try not to change the angle of the knee, but we're trying to drive the hips up into extension. If it's too much and you're starting to feel some instability in that area, we can leave the other foot on the ground, but what I'm focusing on is driving through the right heel. I'm just using the left for a little bit of assistance, or we can assist on the way up and control on the way down. Assist on the way up, control on the way down is a nice progression. But let's finish 5 per side. Good. Last one. Beautiful. All right, so if you're feeling you need a little extra work in that area, definitely give these movements a try, especially if you're doing any type of running. This last hamstring bridge is potentially a game changer for you to keep you running and keep you in the game. Hope you follow along, hope you enjoy. Drop a comment if you did, like and subscribe, do the things. We'll see you on the next one.